the board. Al is going to be here at 6:35. Do we want to wait 5 minutes or do we want to start now? This one's going to go fast. All right, let's start this one. Yeah. Let's start this one. Yeah. We'll start this one because the next one doesn't start until 6:45.
Well, that's understandable.
If we all can stand for the pledge, are we ready? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 3, public comment regarding the potential sale of town-owned property. Hold on, I lost my other sheet. Thank you. At the corner of 35 Cogwheel Lane and 136 New Haven Road. We will take public comment regarding that.
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
That's fine, I'll speak louder. Give me a sheet again. Sorry. Public comment regarding the potential sale of town-owned property at the corner of 35 Cogwheel Lane and 136 New Haven Road. Is there any public comment on that property? Public comment going twice? Public comment going 3 times? No public comment. I'll call the meeting adjourned at 6:32. Thank you. Thank you. Next public comment will begin at 6:45.
The piece of paper I don't have.
What's that?
Piece of paper I thought I put in here, I don't have.
I forgot my files. Usually I have my charter and some other documents with me.
Deanna, you ready? Rob, you ready? Council, ready?
Sir.
Oh. Can we all call the meeting to order at 6:46? Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to open public comment regarding the potential sale of town-owned property located at 100 Prospect Street. Everybody will be allotted 2 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address for the record. Can you hear me back there? Okay. Great. Public comment regarding the potential sale for town-owned property on 100 Prospect Street. If you wish to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Deborah Zamowick Alterio of 37 Cold Spring Drive, Oxford. My property borders Coulas Terrace town line. Nowhere in the town charter does it say that the town has to sell the land to a developer when asked to purchase it. 100 Prospect Street does have a value to the town and its residents, regardless if the land is locked. There are private wells in the area. You take away that area and the wells become susceptible to contamination from runoff of development in the upper portion. That land does serve as a purpose of a natural buffer between a development and a long-established homes and wells in the area. One of the cheapest forms of protection is a natural buffer. It filters out contamination through its trees, brush, and vegetation. Prospect Street generates $827.49 as it stands now, amongst 25,790 tax bills. That would be 0.032 cents. That's not even a penny that you find on your car floor to keep the property. It is my personal opinion, this referral does not come without question of possible conflict of interest. Rob Van Egan, Chair of the Planning and Zoning, also real estate agent with Carrie Ann Guerrara of Shelton, gave you a positive referral. Marissa Grasso, daughter of AJ Grasso, Prestige Builders, works in the same real estate agent as Mr. Van Egan. Facts. Real estate agent of Hawkstone, which is on public forum that Mr. Dragonis posted, is showing what was being proposed. The agency selling that project was Carrie and Guerrara. You don't sell the key to the floodgate when possibility of health and public safety of residents can be affected without studies being done. Growth is important, but the health and public safety is first and foremost. At this time, don't sell out your residents until you can tell them what you're selling them out to. Thank you.
Good evening, Ken Gaggy, 57 Swan Avenue. My worries are that the average age of the houses in my neighborhood are well over 100 years old. Mine is 135 years old. I have a fieldstone foundation that will not be, it will not fare well with explosives knocking down the all the ledge that's up there that they're going to be doing. Okay, the runoff that I have now going into my basement every year. Okay. That last big flood that we had, that other people got really, way worse than I did. We had almost 4 feet of water in the basement. Okay, I can't imagine having less trees, less grass, and less rocks, up there that will keep all that water out of my basement. Okay, so if you look at the average age of the people in this room, we're not kids. We can't afford these things. Okay, leave the hill alone, please.
My name is Anthony Takash from 77 Johnson Ave, a couple hundred feet away from this proposed development. We have well, septic, explosives, a couple hundred feet from it. I don't understand how that's not going to affect basically everything for all of the residents that are nearby. Wildlife, we have plenty of it in the backyard. You remove that much of their living space, we're going to have that much more of it. What else? Traffic's terrible as it is. From what I understand, I think we would need a zoning change. I don't know what studies are supposed to be done. I don't know of any that were done. I tried to find a map of it, but apparently there is. I just didn't find it. Apparently I was just looking in the wrong spots. Very close, very close. I'll probably be able to see it from my backyard instead of having a wooded backyard, which is why I bought the house. It's why I've moved to a town. So although I am very close to the main street, it feels like, I'm 20 minutes away from the highway because of the woods and that mountain. It's going to devastate property values. I don't understand how it would help. And that's assuming all of our water and septic isn't destroyed in the process. Not to mention foundations. And I agree with the people who did better research than me. Please don't sell us out for a couple dollars. I don't know what the potential tax revenue would be. I understand that we're happy about it because it doesn't put a strain on the Board of Ed, but we're supposed to get some tax money from it. I like the 3 cents from everybody to just leave it alone. My taxes go up just about every year. Whether my property value goes up 50%, my mill rate still goes up. No matter how much we're told, don't worry about the grand list, your mill rate will go down. I don't feel like we're actually represented. It's just whatever can get more tax dollars to spend on Lord knows what. I don't feel it. But that's about it. Thank you.
I'm Mary Llewellyn from 71 Johnson Avenue. I live at the top of the hill. It's pretty much a dead end if you don't count the driveway off to the neighbors to the right of me. First of all, I want to know where you got this address, 100 Prospect Street, because Prospect Street does not come near that property. Prospect Street goes from Johnson Avenue to Rimmon Street. It splits at Johnson, and after to the west of Johnson is Swan Avenue. So I don't know where you're getting this address. My family has lived in that house for over 60 years. We've been through this before when Mr. Fenn tried to develop property, and it was turned down because of access. I used to hike up there when I was young. There's brooks and wetlands up there, and if you put in a development, you're going to get more surface water runoff coming down that hill, and we just had a flood in that area, and that won't help matters in the future. We're in the midst of climate change, and who knows what will happen in the future with the Little River, and if we get another squall like we did last August. There's wildlife up there, and so we've lost so much woodland over the years. The wildlife has smaller and smaller areas to live, and I would hate to see that taken away. That's pretty much my objection, and change that address, it's wrong.
Jessica Gagney, 57 Swan Avenue. I'm not going to talk to you about taxes or planning or any of that, but I remember growing up at 57 Swan Avenue for 25 years. Whenever I would feel anxious or stressed, I would walk up into the woods and just look out over the horizon, and it would help me be less stressed with the world. And I can't imagine another child growing up where I grew up and not having any woods around them. I think that's one of the greatest things about Seymour is that the space we have, it's natural and it looks like somewhere I'd want to live. But if that was just turned into a complex, I wouldn't really know where to go to take out my stress or to enjoy nature because it would be taken up by this space for someone to live. And one of my favorite baby pictures from when I was young was in those woods. And just like growing up and seeing animals and having respect for animals because of the woods behind my house. With all the things that would take to put up a development, it would displace many animals and wildlife, and I feel like we're already at a loss for nature with all of the development in our entire country, let alone Seymour. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mike Rankowith, 28 Woodside Avenue, Seymour. Born and raised. A couple things I'd like to say. A couple times I'm going to reference some of the town officials' comments during my comments here. Going back to the audio recording on February 13th, 2025 from Planning and Zoning Commissioner regular meetings. I echo what Mr. Llewellyn said. Every time I hear that recording, they mention Prospect Avenue. On and on and on. Many members that are in here today, or the planning and zoning, reference it, comments, questions, closing, agree, approval. Prospect Avenue is off of Pearl Street, number one. There's a Prospect Avenue and there's a Prospect Street. I do not want to be misunderstood. If you have a concern about a road or a parcel, get the facts straight. I think the Planning and Zoning Commission, number one, did a terrible job with those meetings. You might want to go to that same recording about 6 minutes into the audio, because they talked about some Rimmondale concerns about cleanup in a Fanato residence. Someone in that audience did a great job. Be specific. Give me the addresses. Put it on the agenda. Let the comments for the residents speak. Did a great job. I don't know who it is. If they're in attendance today, I respect that. But in the same meeting, we screwed it up. It's Prospect Avenue. Boy, we got a ways to go. That's my one comment I observed on that recording. It's out there. You can verify the comments here. That's why I want to keep reference to that. So the meetings keep going on. I expect the planning and zoning to do the same. Meetings go on and on talking about Prospect Avenue. I may not have a concern because I don't care about Prospect Avenue. Maybe Prospect Street I do. I think there's a few people here that care about it. Alright? But if you get into 20 minutes remaining on the tape, that's where it starts. 21 minutes. Few board members here are present from the town. If that's the discussion, I don't have a problem with Prospect Avenue. The residents deserve the facts, starting with the proper address. The address. Okay, same audio, the town officials could not agree on the locked land size in that area. One mentions 18 acres. One says, no, it's like 10. If we're just throwing stuff out there to confuse the residents, it's wrong. All credibility, in my mind, is being questioned right now. And I'm not a newcomer to this stuff. No, the town map has this at 16.79 acres. if anyone wanted to look that up. But I don't work for the town, and I'm not part of the board. Okay? So to date, it hasn't been developed. This parcel 11-11-1-0, adjacent to this proposed sale of Prospect Street, right? It's Prospect Street, has not begun. Why? Well, I think homeowners did what they believed was right at the time. They blocked the access into that. They sold to many different people. And fast forward to 2025, the property in question is now owned by the town of Seymour. Not me. Town of Seymour, you own it. You're going to make the decisions, whether you listen to us or not. But you own it. Will this be a different outcome? It might be. Sure, it might be. But as a resident who has navigated this parcel and the beauty for decades, I was born there. I just strongly recommend a pause. Because I say, I'm not against and I'm not for. But you gotta get it right. Damn, you gotta get it right. If you can't get it right, everything is in question. And I'm the wrong guy to deceive. I will dig down deep. All I ask is for a pause to clean up these inconsistencies and give the residents the facts. Have properly held meetings. We'll start with the right address. And the questions I have: has a reputable builder submitted plans for development on this lot land? You don't have to be answered here, obviously. Would these plans be approved for development? Is the town eager to sell the property? Not knowing the plan, the impact to the land and everything some spoke earlier. Would the builder invest yet again on property, not knowing if all the approvals are granted? Again, I have the sale price early. What is the sale price being discussed now? Of course, we don't know, but go through appraisal. Who's going to do that? And I refer to Deb over there. So all I'm asking for is constructive feedback, concerns, questions from residents can help to the right answer. And that's all I'm asking for. Okay? I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Fatek Rauchi, 56 Swan Avenue. My family has been at the top of the hill. It's the top street, Swan Avenue, and what you're calling Prospect has never been called Prospect to our family. It's always been Swan Avenue all the way up. They've been there for over 100 years. My mother grew up on Johnson Avenue. Again, we've had access to the woods up there. There are a lot of swamp areas. There are caves, more rock than I don't know if any of you have been up there. Caves, rocks, water. There's a big area where you find Indian beads and Indian arrowheads. I believe we should have it checked to see if there is, as we believed as kids 75 years ago, that it was an Indian burial ground. Before any ground is broken up there, it should be checked. I don't have definite proof, but I know what we found years ago. And again, the runoff from our hill is what affected Claridus Village. And there was a lot of damage done there. Take away all the rock up in the woods and the trees, as Kenny said, there's going to be more water coming down, and the next big storm, it'll be washed away completely. I remember watching the water between the tornado. The water was actually going up the hill that day, but then came back down the hill. But the next storm, when it went down the hill, I remember watching it and saying, in all the years I have been on that hill, 75 years, I've never seen anything like that. So you've got to keep this in mind before you do anything with this property. And as I also have heard that twice before they wanted to develop this land and it was never approved. And I don't know the reasons. I was out of the house for a few years living my parents have been in that house and their parents were in the house before them. But you've got to, it's not a good place to build. Again, the foundations of the houses, if there's any blasting up there, is the town going to be responsible? Our water pressure is low as it is on the top of the hill. Are there going to be new water mains put in, new water lines for anything built up there? You're going to need water. You're not going to use the groundwater. I'm sure they're not going to use well water. You're going to need sewers. Are the town people going to have to pay for these water lines and sewer lines? Or who's going to pay for our taxes? Going to go up one more time to accommodate one person who wants to build up there, one group that wants to build up there? I certainly hope not. Thank you.
Peter Razat, 33 Woodcrest Road, Seymour. I don't live in that area, but I respect that area, and I echo some of the comments from the previous speaker. From what I'm told by some of the people who live there, it's a historic area. It's where Oxford and Beacon Falls and Seymour come together. Back in the 1700s, 1800s, the selectmen, as they were called at that time, not select persons, they would have to appoint a fence walker from each town, and they would meet together, and the town's fence walkers would walk together and map all of the land in their particular city. For ours, it would be Seymour. And then there's a point up there, and there's a huge rock where the three towns come together: Oxford, Beacon Falls, and Seymour. And it's carved at the rock, the dates that the selectman or the fence walker actually went through there. And they said this is the border of these three towns, and I'm told that there's another rock below that too. So it's a historic area. Now, according to the Seymour historical books they're written 150 years ago, there was a burial ground above, a Native American burial ground above Stop and Shop somewhere. They've lost that. They don't know where it is. But they were in this area, and they may have been up there. They may have been in those caves, and I'm sure that there might be some special ceremonial sites. Big thing now in Connecticut is ceremonial stones. Are there ceremonial stones there that are indigenous? So I would highly recommend, first of all, that I think the selectmen should walk that area. I don't know how many selectmen have actually walked that area, and they're talking about selling it now. How can you sell something when you've never seen it? Second of all, I would call in Nick Ballantoni or one of the state archaeologists to do a study up there and to make sure that there's nothing there. And thirdly, I would like to see a site walk with the people here who are not familiar with it, can actually see that. We need to do that before we're selling our land here. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Arlene Roy, 11 Coulis Terrace, Seymour. My grandfather was Chester Coulis. He's the one that bought the hill up where Coulis Terrace is. We grew up there kids. I know that rock that you're talking about, where that is. That was there's garnets up there. There's all kinds of fun things up there to explore as a kid, besides the rocks. He called it a piece of God's country. That's what that hill is to all of us that are living there. It's important for the wildlife. It's important for our kids, our grandkids, anybody else that wants to enjoy that area. There's a reason it's been denied twice. I don't know what those are, but whatever they were great reasons, and they should be done again. There's the advantage of losing all of that land and the privacy up there and the wildlife and the wells and our basements and all of those things can't be worth whatever we're getting for that little piece of land. So again, I don't know what kind of DEP studies, if there's been any for the area up there. I don't know what kind of development they're even talking about. But whatever it is, it shouldn't go through. It needs to stay wildlife and open area like my grandfather envisioned 75 years ago. Thank you.
Hello, Carol Papley, 54 Swan Ave. If you've ever been up there on that hill, the view is just spectacular. Like in the fall and the leaves are changing, it is just like breathtaking. And I see bears, coyotes, bobcat, turkeys fly from the ridge up to the trees up there. It's just, you know, I can understand maybe if someone privately owned it now, like 1 or 2 houses maybe, but to put a huge development up there or anything that's going to be so, you know, invasive, I think is just really, it's a shame if that goes through. Most of the houses in the area are like 100 years old. We all have stone foundations. That we get water now as it is, so with blasting and more erosion, you know, I can't even imagine. I mean, every time it rains, with the shop vac, you know, and vacuum up the water. My brother lives across the street, and his hill holding his sidewalk up has been eroding really bad. You know, so at some point, his whole sidewalk, I think, is going to end up collapsing, which is onto Swan. You know, we're all being kind of perched up there. So, you know, and then the other thing to think of is a lot of other areas of Seymour have, you know, Chatfield has Chatfield Park over there for the kids to play. Up on the hilltop, we have open space for people to enjoy. In that area, there's really nothing in that little area for any of us to enjoy our lives. You know, get some exercise and walk out our door and go up there, or walk the dog up there. I mean, it's just, it's beautiful. So I would be really devastated to know that it was going to get destroyed. So, you know, me, I would build like a big log cabin up there to see the view, but, you know, I wouldn't want to do it and destroy that kind of beauty up there. So, you know, consider our quality of life too, for our street and our area. You know, we all enjoy going up there, and, you know, all, even in the winter when there's snow, it's just, it's beautiful, totally beautiful. So it would be a real shame to destroy it, you know. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Nancy Chukta, 77 Tomlinson Road. One of the things I've recently learned is that in Connecticut, I was surprised to learn actually that about roughly 65% of the land is forested. However, the majority of that is privately owned. And as we can watch for ourselves in Seymour and see farms from the past 100 years gradually being sold and developed, people who own land privately, if they then need money or want to pass it on to their children or whatever, that land is at risk, and it's important to have forest land in the state of Connecticut. So that's a big concern to me. We don't have, I think in our conservation and development plan in Seymour, there's something about having a budget or trying to raise money to be able to buy land to conserve. And we clearly don't have that in our budget at the current time. I don't see that anytime in the near future. So I think that land, that if the town already owns the land, I hate to see it sold. I feel like that's an opportunity to protect land that, as other people have said, is, I haven't been up there myself. It's just beautiful driving down the hill just to see it. And then I've also done a little bit of research. I'm on the Conservation Committee in Seymour, and I've also been taking a class through the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection over the course of about a year, from August to this coming August, Master Woodland Manager course, which requires 35 hours of part of the required block of classes and another 6 hours of optional but related coursework. So one of the things of the many things we've been learning in that course is how important the forest is just for absorbing water. The trees and the forest floor absorb so much water, and to put a construction project up there that's going to put more pressure on Little River and Hoadley's Pond just is upsetting to me. So I'm in favor of trying to protect that land too. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more comments? Any further comments regarding the sale of Prospect Street? Any further comments?
I already spoke, but can I speak again for a
Couple
couple seconds?
seconds.
I just didn't get to explain how all of the neighbors around, we take care of each other, okay? And all of Seymour, I feel, is like neighborhood, okay? My family has owned this house since it was built in 1890, okay? And this is the first time I've thought of, get out. If we get a big building behind us, I might just sell and get out, okay? I would rather not do that. I'd rather be here. This is my home, okay? So that's all.
Any other comments? Comment going second. Third comment. We will close public comment and close this meeting at 7:17. Call the meeting to order of the Board of Select Persons at 7:17. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No? Can I have approval of public comment? Oh, wait, let's wait a second. People are going to clear out, people are going to stay. Just wait till people clear out. Or they can stay, or they can clear out. Public comment?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Chris Edwards, Emergency Management Director, 1 First Street. Apologize about bringing this on you. Obviously, you guys have enough on your plates, but this is something that I need to bring forward and do. So, Derek, First Selectman Jeronis. Fortunately, effectively immediately.
Hold on a minute, hold on. Can you shut that door?
Close the door, please.
We can't hear.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. Chris Edwards, Emergency Management Director for the Town of Seymour.
Thank you.
1 First Street. Again, sorry to drop this on your table. You obviously have a lot more stuff to worry about than this, but this is something that I cannot let linger anymore. So, effective immediately, I'm formally resigning my position of Emergency Management Director for the Town of Seymour. This was not a decision I made lightly. I've always been proud to serve our community. I've always approached this role with integrity, professionalism, and commitment to improving emergency preparedness and response. However, the recent actions and public statements made by Selectwoman Teresa Conroy have left me feeling deeply disrespected and politically targeted. Over the past several weeks, Selectwoman Conroy has publicly questioned my role, my stipend in various meetings, and more recently in the Voices newspaper. She also took it upon herself to visit Seymour Public Works to inquire about my employment status there. That I don't work there, so I'm not really sure why that happens. So, this pattern of behavior borders on harassment, and has caused undue stress to both me and my family. I am not a politician, and my family should not have to read about my position in the media or see it debated in public forums without context or factual representation. What's even more disappointing is the selective scrutiny. I have not heard similar levels of concern raised from her about the $41 million school budget, the proposed $58 million proposal for the new Bungay school, or the $160,000 that's allocated for a first-year high school principal. If the goal is fiscal responsibility, then it should be approached fairly and not along party lines or personal agendas. This resignation is not about a $20,000 stipend increase. It's about politicization of public service and the erosion of respect for those who work behind the scenes to protect and support our community. Many of them I've worked with over the last few months through the flood. During my year as EMD, I've secured nearly $25,000 in state grants to help us. That money went to purchase and equip a shelter trailer, eliminate the need for a costly pod storage unit at the middle school, saving us $3,000 annually, decommission 2 underutilized and costly vehicles, and reduced my EMD budget by approximately 45% last year. I've also dedicated over 20 hours a week for months to manage the recovery from the 2024 flood, ensuring we were positioned to receive appropriate reimbursement for both state and federal partners. Despite the current circumstances, I will continue to treat everyone with respect and professionalism they deserve, regardless of whether the same courtesy is returned. I believe that if Selectwoman Conroy had questions or concerns about my request for a $20,000 stipend, the proper course of action would be to reach out to me directly, rather than airing unvetted information publicly. So I take great pride in work that I've done as EMD and fire chief for the town of Seymour, and I thank all of you for the opportunity. So now I'd like to address Ms. Conroy. I'll never claim to be the smartest person in the room, but even I know using somebody for political gain is wrong. But however, I am smart enough to realize that I became collateral damage, caught in the crossfires of a political party lines. That's not right to do to anybody, especially somebody in public service whose only goal is to make this community safe as it can be. Thank you. Here's my letter. We'll get you all my paperwork from FEMA tomorrow. If there's any questions, call me. Come on.
Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? No other public comment? Can I accept the approval of the minutes from the April 1st regular meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second by Al Bruno. Discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Abstain.
2 abstentions, please note Pat Lombardi's abstention, Bob Finley's abstention. Or chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0-2. Thank you. Presentation and discussion from Army about their mission to provide home repair and maintenance needs for low-income, elderly, and disabled homeowners who are physically or financially unable to make their needs themselves. I had the opportunity and the great honor to meet with you guys and to hear all about it. So if you can explain to the rest of the board, I have some pamphlets here I can pass down.
I did bring some additional pamphlets.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
state your name, please.
Okay, Laura Perigo, I live in Milford, work in Seymour, but I am here to represent Army. Army is a youth adult-based organization out of Texas. And we started the organization in Connecticut 22 years ago. We're going on our 22nd year. And we've gone into communities all over the New England, within the New England states, to provide homeowners with work that was needed that they could either not do themselves or could not afford. We do not charge anyone for any of our services that we do. This year we are doing 3 camps within New England. We have a camp going on. We're going to come to Seymour in July, the week of July 13th. And we're going to be out in your community to do work. And I have some pamphlets. We've done camps in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. We've been all up that way, and it originated out in Texas 40 plus years ago, and someone brought it here to Connecticut. I have been with the organization since its inception here in Connecticut. I am now and have been the president of our Northeast jurisdiction. I know that Anne Marie had met with Gina Grubbs, who was our Northeast representative, and I also sit on the national board for UM Army. It's an incredible organization, and we go out there and we do a lot of work. We do painting, we do yard work, we've built ramps, access ramps for people to be able to get out of their homes who haven't been able to get out of their homes in 20 years. They can finally get out, and the tears from all of us when they take their first stroll down that ramp is just incredible. In my this is going on my 22nd year here doing this, I can still remember pretty much everyone we've helped. There was a family in Seymour, or in Shelton actually, right on the border, that a little boy, the team that went, the youth and the adults that went, spent time with that youth, and they painted their house, the outside of the house for the woman, but the time spent with that youth was more important than painting that house. That little boy had no friends. It was summer. There was no one around. Our youth was his friends. By the end of the week, they all gave me money and said, "Hey, Laura, go out and buy this kid a soccer ball. He loves to play soccer." They all signed it, gave him the ball. He was in his glory. Another example, my granddaughter finally is old enough now to come to camp with me, and she came to her first camp 2 years ago, and the client that she was going to work with lived in a trailer park. Needed a lot of work, inside and out. The woman was a hoarder. She would not let anyone in her house. She stood at her door talking. Within 3 hours, my granddaughter got her way into that house and cleaned. And she only got into the house because she stood there and listened to what the person had to say. Sometimes that's all it takes. And it's amazing the work that these kids do. The adults are only there to help facilitate. It's the youth that are painting, building the ramps, fixing stairs, weeding gardens, cutting grass, cutting trees down. The youth are doing it. So we cannot wait to be here in Seymour for that week to be able to get out into the community and do some work. And I know with the flooding, that was one of our biggest concerns, was the people who had the issue last August. You know, how do we get in contact with them and say, hey, we're here to help? You know, whatever needs to be done, clean out a basement, clean out an attic, something. You know, we're here to help. It doesn't cost the homeowner a penny. We provide everything. We will be staying at Great Hills United Methodist Church for the week. That's where we will eat and sleep. We will shower at most likely one of the Planet Fitnesses in the area. The youth, our day consists of at 7:30 in the morning. They're up, they're at worship. Then they leave worship, they have breakfast. They gather everything they need for that day for their team. They go off to their work site. They stay there till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They come back, they have a little downtime, there's some fun and games that happen after they've showered and stuff. And we have dinner together, we do worship, and by usually lights out by 11 o'clock. That's what we try to do. Doesn't always work. Some of us adults stay up a little longer. But we're really excited and happy to be able to come and tell you guys what we're doing. So you're going to see there's probably going to be at least 50 of us in the community, out and about in the community doing work. So we want you to know we're here and what we do. And trust me, I was bitten 21 years ago by the Army bug, and I haven't healed from it. My husband can attest to that. He's been to one camp, that's it. But yeah, it's a great organization, and we are very thrilled to be here in Seymour to do some work, some good work for the people out there. So I do have some more pamphlets. So if anybody knows anyone who needs any type of work, the only thing we don't do are roofs and electrical and plumbing. We used to have a plumber that would come with us, so we could get away with doing a little bit. But because we're not licensed, we don't do those. But pretty much everything else. So if anybody has contacts or anything like that, I'll leave some pamphlets. And there's a contact number on the back for Gina. She's the Northeast Director, and she'd be happy to get in contact. Her or I would be in contact with the people. Alrighty?
Great, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any board members have any questions? Pat?
Where does your funding come from?
The youth actually pay to go to camp.
Okay.
So they pay $325 for the week, and they come to camp, and that money then is proportioned out in our budget for the week to how much materials we can, how much money we have to spend on materials, how much do we have to spend on food, how much. We have a team that goes out that just handles first aid to make sure, our safety team, just to make sure everybody's safe, that they have their goggles on, they're wearing gloves, they're not climbing too high up on a ladder, because we know there's state laws that say what a youth can work with. A lot of kids can't use hand tools.
Are you insured?
We haven't, yes, we
Yeah,
are
you're
insured.
insured, right.
Yeah. So that's where, like, the youth pay to come to camp, the adults also, but that money is all used. That's how we can go out there and not charge the homeowners anything.
Well, thank you. Sounds like a very worthwhile cause, and we look forward to you coming to Seymour.
Thank
Do you have any homes scheduled at this time?
No.
Yet, or no? Okay.
No. I was trying to figure out how I could get a contact with the veterans, because when I come off the exit over here, and the veterans
VA
is right
is
there,
right?
I'm not sure who I can be in contact with them. Because we usually try to get a ramp in, at least one ramp in, if there's somebody that really needs to have a ramp. Our older youth, our high school kids, it's kind of like their rite of passage to finally build the ramp, or a huge deck or something. Kind of gives them gives them a little more gratitude. But the youth are incredible.
I will send you over Mike Kearney's information tomorrow. That's who you can speak to regarding our veterans.
Okay, perfect. And you want me to give these
Absolutely.
to you?
Al, any questions?
Any other questions?
Good. Thank you. They were
Fred?
Just want to thank you. It sounds like your organization is wonderful. Thank you for helping the people of Seymour.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Teresa?
Well, I appreciate it also, and thank you for getting the kids involved, because we need the kids to learn how to volunteer and help out people. So thank you for all the work you put into that.
This has definitely affected a lot of youth. We actually have 2 youth on our board who started out as, well, they're young adults now, but they started out as a youth. And they've stayed with the program, and they are connected so tightly with it that they now are in leadership roles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you can leave those for us, yes. And I will email you Mike Kearney's information tomorrow.
Okay, great.
How's
Thank
that?
you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a nice night. Discussion with Mackenzie Brown regarding her Junior National Honor Society Environmental Program. So I was contacted by Lindsay, her mom, because
Thank you.
Mackenzie needs to do a Junior National Honor Society project, so she wanted to come present to the Board of Select Person on the Chatfield Park Cleanup 25. So, Mackenzie, whenever you're ready.
I have a flash drive with my presentation ready.
Give it to Rob Dyer. And then speak into the microphone, because even though it's not going to burp here, they'll hear you on TV and Land. That sounded like Willy Wonka, TV Land.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Browning, and I live here in Seymour on Skokrat Street. I'm here to propose a Earth Day cleanup. Me and my friend Lily, who's unfortunately not able to be here tonight, thought of this idea. This idea spawned while talking about a bunch of like different ideas for a service project for Honor Society. We thought the cleanup would be a good idea, seeing as Earth Day is coming up, and like it would be a really great way to involve our community with like cleaning up the earth. So if you flip to the next page in the pamphlet, there is our proposed like flyer, which would have the date and the time. And then if you flip again, it shows what we would like to do at the park and where we would like to clean. So we would like to clean among the trails, by the creek, along the track, and down by the stairs that lead to the land trust. Again, if you flip, we think it would be beneficial because we think it would be a great way to celebrate Earth Day. It would bring more attention to Earth Day, and the cleanup would give the park a cleaner look, as well as cleaning up the park would help protect our wildlife here in Seymour. And the park cleanup is also another good way to involve the community. Do you have any questions?
Absolutely. I'm sure my board does have questions, but I think this is a wonderful idea. What we will also do is we'll put this up on our Facebook page as well as our town website.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Does any board members have any questions, Pat?
No.
Bob?
I just appreciate the initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a great initiative, and I happen to know the president of the land trust, so I will make sure that he is made aware.
Thank you so much.
We have to know the daughter, so.
I'm the one that married the
I know.
the guy.
Wonderful guy.
Leave him alone.
Listen, stop. They are.
He's the best.
Rah, rah.
Wonderful guy. Mackenzie, can you explain to me just one question? What's the National Junior Honor Society?
So the National Junior Honor Society, it's like an organization. It's the middle school level of the Honor Society, and it like shows a bunch of different characteristics that we have in our middle school children, and like you have to fill out a form and apply, and then it like you anonymously get selected.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is terrific. I grew up in the Chatfield Park area, and it needs some TLC, and you're going to give it TLC. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you. I love the project. I know when I go down there walking the trails, I get a little discouraged because there's a garbage can right there and the water bottles are left all over. So whatever you can do to make it better and maybe get the word out among your peers. I know there's a lot of people playing basketball down there and things. You know, if they could just reach over a little bit, we probably wouldn't have to be doing this all the time. Will you be going inside the trail too also?
Yeah, I would like to.
Good. Perfect.
If you have
Thank
other friends, there's other areas that we can point out too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful initiative.
Do we need to take any action on this? Give her the okay. We'll put it onto the website saying that you'll be down there cleaning it, but I think you're all set.
Thank you so much.
And do we have to sign off on the hours or the project?
I will have the sheet like there for some like a supervisor to sign off on.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. Discussion and possible action regarding the potential mural at the corner of Main and Broad Street with the Cultural and Arts Committee. Linda and Judy are here to speak about it.
Linda Bellavance, 7 Mulsick Road. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I did not bring copies, but I do see that Anne Marie did make you copies of the mural that was sent to me by the muralist. You all have copies of?
I think we got those last meeting.
You got those?
No, there's new ones.
Oh,
that
there's-
we actually
okay.
found.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, the first ones were, just her ideas, and then she met
Gotcha.
with us and did up what basically what
They're
Dee
supposed to be
did.
put into the packet.
Because Dee did say this morning that she made copies. Well, this afternoon she said she made copies for everyone.
They're not in the packet. There are 7 copies made to be in the packet. They would have been in that folder on Stephen's desk. It's okay.
Thanks, Kurt. So anyway, she did put together a mural, and hopefully Kurt will be able to find it. It had everything in it that we had asked. It's very lovely. It starts at the bridge and it goes all the way to the end. And there's a river, and the river runs through the whole thing. So there's mainly a river. It says, "Welcome to Seymour" in blue. She changed the red writing to blue letters. And she put in there picture of the gazebo, a picture of the Indian that is on the town seal. Pictures of a school bus with children, a couple drinking coffee, the snowmen that we put around town, the flowers, the wooden flowers that we put around town. What else, Judy? Oh, the pumpkin, the scarecrows with the pumpkin heads. It just depicts Seymour is basically what it is, the different seasons. And then when you get down towards the end where the wall becomes much smaller, it's just basically blue sky and the river.
Get
It's
that
very,
microphone.
oh, okay. It's very pretty. And at the very beginning of it, she has on the picture established date. It just says est.date, and it will say June 24th, 1850. Is that the date right? Am I right? 1850. So that will be going, I think, up and down right where as people are driving over the bridge, that's what they'll see, and then the mural will go down from there. So our committee loved it. We're presenting it to you people to look at it, to see what you think of it. I have sent that to the gentleman at the state who has to give us the approval. I spoke with him personally. He said they meet once every 2 weeks, and he would be in touch with me in the next couple of weeks. He didn't really think there would be a problem, but it has to go before a committee. He will be in touch with me. The artist will be away for the month of May, but we have a tentative date of June 1 for her to start. And weather permitting, as long as she can work every day, she figures it'll be about 2.5 weeks from start to completion. So she'll prime the wall. It's already been power washed. It's ready to go. It'll be primed.
When
It'll
did you say
be
to start? What was the date to start?
June 1. She's thinking June 1, 2.5 weeks. It's weather permitting, and obviously if we have bad weather, then it'll go a little bit further. So she'll do the mural, prime it, do the mural, and then put some type of a top coat over it. That she said, the advertisement for this top coat is if graffiti, as someone had mentioned about that, last time, is written on it, it's easier for cleanup. And it's also a preservation for the fading of, the hot sun and, whatever. So I have it in front of you, so I'd like to know what your thoughts are, if you're able to see. And that's it. We told her that we would go before this board and we would get feedback from the state and then we would give it a go.
Yeah. Was the issue with the paint resolved? It has to be a special kind of paint?
No, it doesn't have to be a special. It just has to be paint that is conducive to cement.
Cement, right?
Yes, so it's a little, I guess,
Okay.
not the same thing as if you were painting a wooden surface.
The special paint was on the piers underneath Route 8.
Yeah. So I mean, she seemed to know what she was doing, and it's just a matter of getting your approval and getting the approval from the estate. And the gentleman I spoke to also got these pictures, and he said he didn't think there'd be a problem.
Well, I can tell you from my personal perspective, because I know that another agency in town here endeavored to do this a couple of years ago, and certainly this is very enlightening. I think it's exciting, and I think it's going to really spruce up that area, which is, for the better word, vernacular, it's an eyesore right now. Okay,
Well, that
I
was
think
our
we all
idea.
know that.
Yes, that was our idea to brighten up.
Right,
And it's
so-
it's a busy corner. I mean, when you go there and have to stop at the light,
Yep.
there's traffic 24/7 there.
Absolutely.
And so when you're sitting at the light, that'll be a pretty thing to see, whether you're coming into town or leaving town or coming across the bridge. Well, I don't know that you can see it when you're coming across the bridge, but either way, to South Main, you'll be able to see
Well, I
it.
certainly
And,
applaud your efforts.
Oh, thank you. It's a long time coming. Wasn't an easy,
No,
by
I
any
know that.
means, was not an easy task. I don't know that we'd ever do this again. Was a lot of work. Because of the permissions. It's hard to hire someone to be an artist to say, yes, I'll do the project, when you have no money. And you can't get money until you know what the project is that you present to somebody to ask them if they'll give you money. And it's just very difficult. So it took us a good 3 years probably from the first time that we thought about this to where we are today, a good 3 years of getting everything in line. And we're very thankful that Anne Marie's, Dee from Anne Marie's office, did write us a grant for the Valley Community Foundation, and they are paying for 50% of the cost, which is good for us because we'll take half of what we have to pay out of this budget from our account, and then after July 1, we'll take the second half out of our budget. We only have to pay 50%, but it's 25 this year, 25 next year, and the foundation will pay the rest. And so, and what's nice is she said it would only take 2.5 weeks. So even if it took a month and she started in June, we'll get to enjoy it for the better part of, the end of the summer and all through the fall. And so that corner should look much better.
I do like how it very fully represents our town.
We thought, yeah, she kind of incorporated just about anything that you could.
Yeah, I mean, my concern remains the same. I know she said she'll be available, to do touch-ups as needed, and we're going to have that protective coating on it. I just would like to be sure we come up with a long-term plan.
Right.
Should she leave the area or
Right,
anything like that,
exactly,
so for
exactly.
maintenance, but this is terrific.
And that's something that we will always keep in mind now when we do our budget every year, that we just have to keep X amount. We'll find out from her what's a good amount. If we, like when you bring your car in every year, how much would it be for you to come out once a year and do the touch-up and whatever, and we'll just make sure that we put it in our budget. And, hopefully it does last.
Yeah, and maybe if we have a light over there, like on it at all
Yes.
times, we don't need to worry about the
Right,
vandalism so much,
exactly.
because that'll
Which is-
make it a little less
Right, because it is a
enticing.
busy corner, and if there is a
Right.
light there, that would be, yeah, and, I don't know if you, noticed, kind of getting a little off track, we're doing the flowers, and, this is the first time we've ever encountered this, since working in the park, but they started to put graffiti with magic marker writing on the inside of the gazebo, which we had never had that before either. So they're getting a little bit more brazen. And but I went down there with my kills and I got rid of it, so it's gone. So, but yeah, so you just if it's there, they're gonna come. That's what they say, right? So
Exactly.
there's not much you can do, and just do the best we can. So if it's good, if you're all good with that. And then, so I will just let you know. I'll let Anne Marie know when I hear from the state. So we're in April. So then by May, we should all have everything wrapped up. And then she'll start in June. And then you will see the progress as she works on the wall.
So we'll take a vote on it. This way we have it on record. So you can show to the state that the town does approve of it as well.
Okay.
All in favor?
Well, I'll make a motion.
Oh, that's right, we gotta make a motion.
I will make a
Sorry.
motion to approve the mural at the corner of Main and Broad Streets
Motion by Trish,
as presented.
Point, Brian.
presented in the drawing. Motion by Trish, second by Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion?
Well done.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Discussion and possible action regarding the reduction of abatement civil penalties at 2628 Main Street.
Good evening. I'm Attorney Stephen Bellis, and I represent 2628 Main Street, LLC. Brenda Plaza, she's a member of 2628. She's a sole member, I guess. So this was an unfortunate situation. My client bought this property a little while back, and it was a 9-room rooming house. It's next to the pizza place on Main Street. You all probably know it. There was a crazy tenant. I guess that's not a medical or legal term, but she trashed the place badly. Ripped out wires, broke toilets, smashed walls, threw things out the window. My client tried to evict her. She got even angrier, did more damage. And it was, got to the point where the fire marshal wrote a letter to Brenda and said you have to secure that building and vacate those tenants, the other 8 people that weren't crazy. And she paid for a hotel room to put them up for the rest of the month, all 8 of them. The building official then was the fire marshal, Mr. Tim Willis, and he sent an email to Brenda in my office saying, I appreciate yours and Ms. Plaza's timely response regarding extension of paperwork for the abatement of 26 Main Street. Under normal circumstances, extensions would be required for each individual violation. As the building has been vacated under Connecticut State Fire Marshal's Office Directive 10, there is no immediate threat to life or safety. As long as the property remains vacant, there is no set timeline for the abatement of individual hazards. Based on that, my client started to, after she went through this whole eviction process, started to clean the place up, boarded the windows. When went in, we got a blight notice because there were boards on the windows and there was still trash. I'm not going to go into all the details, but what we did was there was a blight hearing, and I attended the blight hearing, and so did Brian. And during that blight hearing, we came to an agreement, and the agreement was that we would no longer use that facility, that building, as a rooming house any longer. It wouldn't be a 9-room rooming house. That we would make an application to convert it into 2 apartments, a duplex. And we then, the agreement was once she got a CO for that apartment duplex, we could come before your board and ask for a waiver of the blight fine. So my client hired an architect, an engineer, and whoever else. And it was difficult, to be honest, because the property is really up against the railroad. And literally, and so it was a difficult and challenging to get the ingress and egress. Again, I don't want to bore you with details, but it took time. The long and the short of it is that she did it. She completed her repairs. I have a photo of the building now.
Oh, the clerk's over there, Bob.
And,
We'll send it down this way, so
yeah.
this way.
She asked, I think last week for the inspection for the CO. I assume she's going to get it, or she already has it. I don't know. So pursuant, and it is a duplex. It's just an apartment. So once she gets the CO, she will rent it. She's going to clean it, take the stickers off of the windows. The property's going to be well maintained. Hopefully, she doesn't get crazy tenants. And it should be okay. So I'm here to ask you to uphold the agreement that the attorney and I made at the beginning of the Blight hearing, which is to no longer have a rooming house, which we don't have, to make the repairs and obtain a CO for an apartment with two units, and to ask you to waive the Blight fine. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. In your packet, you'll have you were emailed by Kurt, the notice of decision assessment by Attorney Karen Fisher, who is the citation hearing officer.
Yeah.
And he emailed it, I believe this week we got it, Monday. I'll share mine with you all tonight. So, in the assessment, the final assessment was the notice of blight violation was issued on June 28, 2022, and I'll kick this over to Attorney Leclerc in a minute. I'll read the last paragraph for you. It is clear from the information provided to this hearing officer that the owners have now been working to make attempts through the recent application to remedy the violations, although the work has not been completed. The work outlined in the building permit is completed and the certificate of occupancy is issued within 10 months of the permit approval date. The owners may submit a request to the Board of Selectmen to seek a reduction in the civil penalties. However, the penalties which accrued from July 13, 2022 to December 15, 2022 should not be reduced based upon the lack of response and communication from the owners to the blight enforcement officer to address the outstanding violations. So with that, I'll kick it over to Attorney Leclerc because as you stated, you guys spoke.
That's correct. Thank you, Madam First Selectwoman.
You're welcome.
So this matter did come before, there were blight violations issued against this property. There was a period of time, as the hearing officer noted, when no action was taken by the property owner. This is the Trestle Tavern, as you know the building. That's a more common name. And it was quite a mess, as you know, when it was a rooming house. And there was a delay in getting a response to the blight officer and getting anything done by this new owner to the property. So the hearing did take place, and she noted in her report a considerable amount of time passed without any response from the property owner to address the blight issues associated with the property, and it took the hearing to get a response and action from the owner. We began the hearing. It was continued for 4 or 5 days to give the property owner an opportunity to apply for what she needed and to try to get the premises changed from, I think it was a 9-bedroom rooming house to a 2-bedroom apartment at the same location. The hearing officer ultimately issued a decision because while the permits were pulled, the work was not totally completed during that time. I know there were issues in getting the work done, according to the property owner. And the blight officer ultimately in her decision indicated, as the First Selectwoman stated to you, that if the work was done within so many months, the owners may submit a request to you, the Board of Select Persons, for a reduction in the civil penalties, but she did not think they should be reduced from July 22 to December 22, based upon lack of response and communication from the owner to the blight enforcement officer to address it. Bottom line, it's been addressed today. That was the hearing officer's recommendation. You can do what you would choose as best under Section 4-151 of your ordinances, which state after hearing, which is tonight, and for cause shown, you may reduce or abate civil penalties and costs imposed. So you have the power to reduce the penalties or to abate or eliminate the penalties as you see fit in this case.
Just for clarity.
Yes, sir.
When this discussion was had and the amount of time, because you just said amount of time, was it done within the amount of time that was granted?
I think, no, they applied in, an application for permit was issued in April of 2023. The C of O was to be issued within 10 months of April 2023 or sometime in 2024. It has not been issued yet. It would appear the work is done to the building, but the permit was not issued as of today yet. So it's an empty building, although sealed up, windows and siding has been replaced, as you know.
And they have been working on it.
They've been working on it. I know they had some issues. You know, we met with their contractors and their architect at one point, and it's an interesting building. It's against the train tracks. It's tough ingress and egress, and one has to be careful with the building code when they start to do work on it to bring it code compliant. It's tough to have a rooming house without the proper fire, life safety things.
So some unknowns popped up in making it a 2-family apartment.
And it's been changed to a 2-unit apartment now, which I think is much better than what it was, if you ask my opinion, given that many people in that location with no parking.
I can't imagine 9 rooms upstairs in that area, but.
If you saw the pictures at the Blight hearing, it was interesting inside.
You
Especially
don't.
the fire code violations.
Yeah,
It was a mess.
I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to ask you forgiveness. I did bring a lawsuit, and that case is going to be scheduled for trial in next week. Brian and I don't feel that we should have to go to trial based on our agreement. There was some notice issues. It was just a mistake. The Blight notices went to the correct address, but it said Seymour. My client's that address in New Haven. I don't want to get into the minutiae of things. The bottom line is we're asking for your help. She spent a lot of money in the eviction. She spent a lot of money putting those people up in the hotel, and she spent a lot of money fixing it up. But that was her agreement, and she upheld her end of the deal.
Just for clarification, so from July to December 2022, the notices were not received because it had the correct street address but the wrong town, so it wasn't making it to the owner?
Yeah, I don't, there were several of them,
No?
so some of them were not making it. There were quite a few notices. I do know that our office got the fire marshal's notice, no problem, and we immediately contacted him by phone, like the next day, and we had a conversation. And he says here, I am emailing you as a follow-up to our brief phone conversation, and that was back in November of 2021.
Okay.
So we tried, you know.
I think, without litigating it here, because they
Yeah.
have taken an appeal of the order, it's the town's position that council did receive,
Yeah.
council at the time did receive all the notices,
Mhm.
despite the address issue, and they were aware, and they should have been aware. I think that's what bothered the hearing officer perhaps more than anything, that it took a hearing to sit down to wake up people to do something. And then they did at that point immediately. They started. It took them longer than we wanted. It took them longer than building wanted and everyone else wanted, but it's been eventually done, but not within the time
But
they
for
should have.
reasonable
And it took
reasons, based on what you
the
said.
hearings. That's why
Okay.
she talked about that 6-month period when nothing was done. And then the town doesn't want to. They'd like to send the notices and have immediate action, or someone focus on it, not repeated notices and have to have hearings to get people to do
I agree
what they
with
have to
Brian.
do. And that's the problem with it.
Okay.
If I may.
Absolutely.
So was there an agreement between council that was incorporated in the citation officer's
No.
opinion?
The agreement was they were going to apply to change it from a 9-room to a two-room, two-apartment building.
And then come before you.
And then come before and ask for abatement at that time, when it was abatement of any penalties. She did issue the penalty, she waited. They did pull the application for permit at the time of the hearing. We continued the hearings. We were supposed to start in, I think, January 2023. We continued it to February, April. And that was to keep the pressure on for them to hire their architect, hire the builder, and get some things done. We ultimately had to put evidence on from the blight enforcement officer, the building inspector, and the fire marshal about what the condition was there. And I think that's why the hearing officer put the provision in that if the work was done, they can ask for an abatement for the period of time after they made that change. They pivoted on what they were building there. However, she felt you should not abate that first July through December period
Because of the lack of response.
because of lack of response before the hearing. That was her position. But it's ultimately your decision how you wanted to treat that, but that was why she did that.
So, excuse me, go ahead.
No, go
Are
ahead.
you?
No.
The citation officer's assessment of damages, was that filed with a report with the court and made judgment of the court?
Yeah, and no, it has not been made a judgment. There's been an appeal taken from him under the
Okay.
statute.
That's what I said.
That's
by
what's
court.
pending.
I
That's
didn't
what he's talking
appeal.
about, the
Sorry
lawsuit.
that.
Okay.
It's an appeal.
It was an
correct.
appeal of that decision, yes.
Okay.
I misspoke.
And the assessment of damages for the period that the hearing officer found should be levied?
Yeah, if you
I don't
do
have
the-
a copy of the report in
if you
front of me.
do the math, if the thing is that she assessed $100 per day per violation, which she's multiplying the penalties per day. If you just take $100 per day for that period of, let's see, it's July 22 to December 22.
$15,300.
I came out to 15 even. I did even rougher math on one of the days. I just took 150 days directly, without, exact. And it comes out to $15,000 for that period of time. So that's what she was suggesting, and I think they're asking for you for an abatement, not only of everything after that point, but of that as
Yeah.
well. And that's what's before you tonight. And you have to make that decision. She recommended no. She being the hearing officer, Attorney Fisher, for that $15,000 portion of it. So that's why we're here. That's why he's here.
And if should we be waiting for the permit to be approved, for anything to be approved? before we make a decision, or?
Well, the question is, you can wait for that to be approved. I mean, looking at the building, it looks like it's been sealed. You know, Mr. Baldwin's here, he can comment on whether it looks like everything has been sealed up at this point. I don't know the process, where we are with the C of O, if you know.
I have no idea.
No idea. Okay.
You have not been contacted by the applicant for a CEO?
Last inspection I did was installation, and I know that there's a zoning violation being worked on, other things that are being worked on, but I haven't been contacted to my knowledge.
I think we gotta look at these as two different things. You got blight issue versus.
Correct.
So let's look at this blight issue, because that's in front of us right now. Correct?
That's correct. Your issue is blight, not a
Blight.
zoning violation.
Correct. So
Because
we're
I
looking
know
at the
there was an
blight
issue
issue.
with Zoe's next door, but that doesn't involve you.
No.
And that's a private matter, if anything. And if they can't get the C of O, just lack of a C of O doesn't make it blight.
Well, it doesn't make it
No,
blight.
that
And
has
they've
nothing to
already
do with the
taken,
blight.
they've already remediated the
This is
initial
about blight.
blight.
This is a blight
issue.
hearing, not, I mean, should he occupy the building without a C of O, that's different, then we have another issue on our hands.
It's not
That-
about
That's,
that.
an- that's
But it's
another
not.
issue,
Right.
that's not in front of this
Correct,
board right
that's
now. The
correct.
only thing in front of this board right now, the only thing that concerns this board right now is the blight and the 15,300.
Correct.
Is what it comes out to, $100, right? So we can either go with the 15,300, or as he said, he's taking an appeal, we can go to court with it and spend more money than the 15,300. Or we can come to some sort of agreement.
I think you laid it out correctly.
Thank you. So.
I think we just did something like that recently, did we not?
Yes.
On another blighted property?
Yes.
And we did not totally abate it, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
So I think we need to maybe keep about the same standard of what we've done in the past.
Correct.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
So, we can meet somewhere. The maximum due is 15,300 for the time.
You want a box?
Don't want a box?
Careful with her.
Steve, I would-
I would lose.
I would put my money on, we'd all be
No,
betting
I
Anne
understand
Marie.
what you're saying a compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's come to a compromise.
I'm flying too, so.
What did we do last time? Do you remember?
Was it
I don't know what you did in the other case.
half or 75%? I can't
It was
remember.
like 2/3 to 70%.
Yeah,
So,
that's-
I mean,
that's-
if I could chime in, I would propose reducing it from 15 to 10.
10. That's where my head
That's
was
what I
going.
would propose, to keep consistent with what we've done in
Yep.
the past.
And I would agree, because first of all, thank you for cleaning the property up. It
Yep.
does look much better. And I
Yes, thank you.
appreciate that you just didn't dig your heels in and leave
walk
it
away.
and walk away. So that's the most important thing. However, understanding that there was someone who was receiving the notices, even with, on occasion, it going to the wrong address, those being ignored is really more the issue, because someone was getting those notices and not getting back to the town like we were just going to not do anything about it. And that's not the right thing to do either. So I would agree with thanking you for keeping up with it, but also being responsible for some of the items that your party could have done better. 10,000, I think, is fair over the course of the last few years, because it could be so much more than that.
Any other numbers? 10?
I do think that goes in line with the other decisions we've been making as
That's
well.
what I was-
And I want to be fair
They
across the
remediated
board
it,
with
we
everybody.
made it, yeah. Yep.
I'm usually the one to say we should be strict with the regulation and the penalty within the regulation. However, I don't think that the exterior of this building was all that offensive during the time that we're talking about. Yes, there was debris outside and the windows were boarded. I don't think it was as blighted as other properties I've seen in town. So I'm willing to compromise, even though I'm usually not.
And I think I'm taking into consideration all the other things she had to go through.
Yeah,
to
yes.
get to
I mean,
this
she had to
point.
pay a
So-
lot of money. so.
And the building looks much nicer.
Yeah, the building looks very-
Looks great.
Yep.
So, can I have a motion? Al made a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to reduce the blight fine from 15,300 to 10,000. That's what I'd like to make a motion.
Motion by Al,
I'll second it.
second by Bob. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Abstains. Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you listening
You're
to me
welcome.
and helping us out.
No problem.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming tonight.
Thank you, council.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Next on the list is to go into an executive session for the potential sale of town-owned property, 100 Prospect Street. And we say 100 Prospect Street because that is what is on the GIS system in the assessor's office. That is
We
why.
can't change the
I
address
can't
just
change
because
the
it doesn't
address.
look like it should be that. That's what it is.
And B, potential sale of town-owned property at the corner of 35 Cogwell Lane and 136 New Haven Road. So if I have a motion to go.
I would just note for the record that because public discussion of these matters and the price may affect the value thereof.
Yes.
And I would indicate who you would like an executive session. behind.
Executive session would be town attorney, Kurt Miller, and the board of select. Persons.
Ryan read my mind.
No.
So everybody shut off your microphones. Rob, could you make
Are
sure
you gonna-
that
did you-
the
did-
cameras and the microphones are
I'll
off?
make the motion to go into executive session.
table 9A to allow the town to conduct its due diligence and consider the
Hold on.
comments we've heard.
Point of
Oh,
order.
oh,
We have to
point
come
of
out
order.
of executive session.
Oh, sorry. Ryan gave me a look, sorry.
Have a motion to come out of executive session?
Yes, we can. Motion to come out of executive session at 9:52 PM and stating for the record that there were no actions or votes taken during the executive session. Now, sir, I will do.
Great, motion by Pat.
Second.
Yeah, right.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Abstentions?
Abstention.
9:52.
No, I withdraw the aye. I withdraw that. Abstention. I abstain.
Indiana, that was 6-0-1. Please note Fred Stanik's abstention as normal. Right, okay, go ahead.
All right.
It's okay.
Regarding 9A, I'd like to make a motion to table to allow the town to conduct its due diligence.
Item 10.
Oh, sorry, item 10. Sorry, excuse me. Item 10, motion to table to allow the town to conduct due diligence and consider the public comments we've heard tonight.
Motion by Al,
Seconded.
second by Pat Lombardi. Under discussion, I just want to state that, I just wanted for the record that we will do our due diligence. We heard the residents, what they had to say. However, I also wanted to be on record. There it goes. However, I just want to go on record stating that the owner of this property, or the person that wants to buy this property, owns all the surrounding property around it, and it is landlocked. I just want to say that, that's all. Anybody else on the discussion?
Yeah, this owner can do with that property whatever he pleases, because he already owns it. And what we're talking about is landlocked.
Right.
Yeah.
100 Prospect is on the top of the mountain. So, any other discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0.
I abstain.
Oh, abstention, sorry. Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0-1. Please note Fred Stanik's abstention. Go ahead.
Regarding number 11, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town to commission an appraisal of the property.
Motion by Al,
Second.
second by Bob. Discussion?
That would be,
Cogwheel.
your motion would be for 35 Cogwheel
Yep.
and 136 New Haven Road.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Abstentions? Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Number 12, discussion regarding the 2025, there's an error there, of the Town of Seymour Strategic Plan. I will kick this over to Mr. Miller. In your packet, you will find a copy of the strategic plan. A copy of the strategic plan. As you know, we just saw this last quarter. This is our quarterly update on the strategic plan. Go ahead, Kirk.
Thank you, Madam First Selectwoman. So in your, as was passed out to you tonight, this is the current standing of the strategic plan. So what we've done is we've gone through and we've updated. It's the same categories and everything that you saw at the last presentation. 9 of the 14 sections are currently being worked on based on timing. Of the 14 sections, there are 8 different departments. Items 1 and 2 are being worked on by myself. Items 3, 4, and 13 by IT. Item 5, finance. Items 6, 7, 8, community services. Items 9, 10, and 11, the police department and emergency management. Item 12, the fire chiefs, and item 14, the town engineer. Again, this is just the master economic development, master strategic plan. Each department has their own strategic plan, which feeds up into this. We don't necessarily pull every single piece up into this master document. Everything is tracked through the OneDrive. So department heads are responsible for maintaining their strategic plans, keeping them updated once a month at the senior staff meeting. Department heads will present if they have updates and things like that to their strategic plan, to make sure that they're staying on track. I'm able to see the plans live, so I know when there's updates. I get certain alerts. And then, as we mentioned before, ClearGov is the vendor that is our new software provider for the budget process, which once the budget is approved, we're going to upload it, and it's a very interactive software which allows residents to go right on the website, pull charts, graphs, different things like that with the budget. So they have a piece for the strategic plan. So once we have the budget up and running, we're going to be working with ClearGov about getting a strategic plan. Their I can't think of the word. Software, thank you. To use that. So then, I know one of the things from the strategic planning committee was to make sure that, while the strategic plan is nice that we have it, but that the residents can see it, understand what's going on. So this will make it a document that they can have fully immersed themselves into, understand, see how we're performing, understand what our goals are, be able to track our goals, things like that. So I wouldn't expect us to have that up and running, though, realistically, until the third quarter, just because it'll take a few months once the budget process is done to get that up and going.
Can I make a suggestion? Sorry, Tricia. Can you bold these letters or make them bigger? I'm not saying that I'm getting old and my eyesight is going. It's just
Yeah.
very hard to read the black on the red.
Yeah, I can, and I apologize, I just forgot to include it Friday, and I realize that now. I'll send you guys the Excel spreadsheet.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're all getting older here, so I'll say it. The print is small and the red is horrible, but hey, thank you. Can you just, the green, the red, and the white, can you just explain what the differences are?
Yeah, so green is something that is currently still has action items left to it. Red is an item that's been considered completed. White means it has not been touched as of yet.
Thank you. So when we put something up for the public, have a key, please. There should be a key.
Oh, yes.
And just advice, red, I probably wouldn't use red for completion.
Yeah, I thought it was like we were delayed or halted or unable to do it.
Yeah, it's like I'm taking it off.
Yeah, I got that same,
Just
comment this
Did
morning.
you? And you decided that was bad feedback? Because it's not.
Did you?
No, I mean, it was.
Did you say it?
It was just a few hours ago, and I hadn't
Those
gotten
of
to
us
it,
have.
unfortunately.
Those of us have
Personally, I'd
worked
like chartreuse purple.
Thank you. I thought red
I-
stop, green go.
All right.
I mean,
Beyond getting this color screwed up.
I gotta be honest with you, if the only concern you have is the color scheme, then I'm quite happy
proud.
with how this is going.
I'm proud that you're following it and doing the process.
Thank you.
I really am. That's
I'm really proud of all our department heads. You know, they've really taken the lead on it, especially the land use and building department. They've gone full speed ahead and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. I mean, to make sure that they're up to date and bringing that department up. Great.
And to echo Anne Marie's point, I mean, while I can't speak to what every department has building theirs, but
IT.
this is the one that I'm using for item number 2, which is sustainable CT, and item 1, that's kind of the focus that I have. So it's essentially a 21-page document that I'm working off of as we work through this. So we're able to keep track of things. Each department has something similar, though they may not have this. But again, there's a lot of, to Anne Marie's point, there's a lot of work that's going into the department heads, and they all deserve a lot of credit for what they're doing. So they've really picked the ball up and run with it, which is good.
Which in section 5, the sustainable CT, because we're working on our bronze level with that, it's
Yes.
all about land building process and having a checklist and our land use. So that's where our plan of conservation and development also comes in.
Correct.
This has grown from a few years back to where it first started,
Yeah.
and now it's at least in all the departments, and we're seeing a general one for everything, and really
Yeah,
appreciate
the utter
that.
confusion in the beginning to like where we are today. Wow.
Do we have a copy of the 10-year plan that you had made back in 2017?
Still up on the website. Isn't it?
It's on the website.
You can't access
Should
it
be right.
there.
It's still up on the website.
The town's website?
Yeah, I think so. Right? Still up there.
I'd have to look.
10
We've been
can't-
slowly, as one of the
Maybe
initiatives
you
in
took it
IT, is redoing the website, so we've slowly been page by page stripping it down, updating, making changes,
Yeah, that was the last time I saw it.
so.
And do we address economic development in here at all?
It's not one of the 14 initiatives, no.
Not.
No, that's in our plan of conservation. There's economic development as well, plan of conservation, it's economic development is going on, but I guess we could add it to our strategic plan. It's not something our department heads do, that's really led by the administration.
Correct. I mean, the goals would have to be established, you'd have to,
Yeah.
you just can't say economic development.
Correct.
You'd have to establish
Goals.
essentially goals,
Right.
and then actionable steps
Right.
to get to those goals.
Fill the industrial park, okay, filled.
Right, so I mean, that's,
But I thought that's what you guys were doing back for the last 10 years, were meeting with all these departments and coming up with the plan,
Not on economic development.
no?
okay, just to be clear, the plan is, it's updated annually. And there was a drop-off in the plan. I mean, we went through this 2 or 3 months ago when we first started talking about this. And bless you. At the last meeting when it was first rolled out. So the department heads create their strategic plan, and then it rolls up into the master strategic plan. So it's the initiatives of the department themselves. If you as a board would like to add pieces to it, you're more than welcome to. But again, you would need to come up with goals and actionable items to do so.
I think that's the part we're missing, though, is that 10-year piece, because I can't, this is the only part I get to see. So I know there was a lot of other work that was done before.
So in the beginning, Teresa, we didn't have a plan, period.
Right.
Right, and we were going from having no strategic plan
Right.
to building a 10-year strategic plan. So it was really about getting the right components and people on board to try and get everybody moving in the same direction. And it was really difficult to get everybody to understand how a strategic plan worked. You would think people have a concept of it, but when you're working, especially for a municipality, it's really hard to get people to make a shift and do something different. So we were meeting with all of the department heads and figuring out how is this going to work. At the end of the day, what we figured out, I can attest to how many nights a week volunteers on the strategic plan were committed to doing these interviews and getting everything down on paper and then presenting it here. What's happened over that time is it's not sustainable with volunteers. So then you kind of give it back to the departments that are paid. So that's where Kurt's talking, that conversation started to shift. And a couple of months ago, it's now held with the paid department heads, and everything's discussed and then rolls up so they all have their own, and it's now here. So it's morphed a bit from where we started, because the train's kind of left the station and we're moving forward. It's probably going to continue to morph as we discover what's working and not working well, what's missing and not, going in the right direction. But it's difficult for the Board of Selectmen to add initiatives or the Board of Finance. It's not that it can't be done, but you have to have that board or that commission who are volunteers committed to driving those actionable items themselves, not the paid employees, because those departments already have their initiatives. So that's where that shift went right now. And Economic Development Commission is obviously not paid. So where we can intertwine those things and have conversations with planning and zoning that would have a piece in how we would want economic development to work as far as approvals. That's where we want to put those items in the various departments where it makes sense and where they have decisions to be made and actions they can take to drive that forward, if that makes sense. And we can continue to look at it and make changes as far as how this is going to look and how it's going to work, but it really wasn't sustainable for a volunteer committee to be meeting 3 to 4 nights a week,
No, you did a lot of work. You
interviewing,
did a lot of work on
meeting
it.
with people, rewriting, so that's where the handoff kind of went, and the shift in how do we need to look at this and who needs to be responsible for those actionable items, how does it get reported? So there's this, and
So just to answer Selectwoman Conroy's question in more detail, you have something called a master plan. of every community. It's actually your POCD, Plan of Conservation
Right, I know
and
that one,
Development.
right.
And that was last done, it covers the period
2017.
2016 to 26, done by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the physical, social, and economic development plan for the community. And it includes conservation strategies. I like the background music.
West Wing, baby.
Thank you.
West Wing.
West Wing,
That's
yes.
queued up nicely. It talks about conservation, development,
Right.
infrastructure strategies, and how to move them forward. So that's where that
Right.
comes forward
Yeah.
in your POCD.
Right.
And Emery mentioned it before, some of the pieces of this are foundational pieces that, while it may not say economic development, it's about economic development. So there's a section in Sustainable CT, actually Section 5, which Emery mentioned before, which I've been working with the town planner on essentially looking at a lot of different aspects of that. So as a part of this and as part of my strategic plan, that's in there. So by improving, some of these pieces, we are going to benefit economic development. So again, a lot of these pieces, they're meant to be a little bit more, I guess, encumbering than just specific
Granular.
topics. And again, every one of these, I think with the exception of 2, are ones that once we hit the goals, by the time we hit the goals, we'll be establishing a new set of goals. IT,
Correct.
as an example, that's never going to stop. That's a wheel that's going to keep right on spinning. Sustainable CT, once we hit bronze, then we'll go for silver, we'll go for gold, then it'll just keep right on,
Correct.
right on spinning. I don't mean to pick on IT, but he's right there. But again, we're trying to improve, our functionality with our residents. New software is going to constantly be coming up. We're going to kind of keep adding things. So again, these things are going to continue to go
Where'd you find it?
over and
Hold
over
on a
again.
minute. Where'd you find the 10-year plan?
I found it, but it wasn't, the link
link
that I
doesn't
had
go
was
anywhere.
broken.
Yeah.
That's why I
Right.
said that, yeah. I did find it though online.
Yeah, it's up there like different color, but it doesn't
Well,
work.
it's in a revised
IT
area.
here.
That's because the website's being worked on though,
Right.
and the links are being worked on.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, IT. Okay. Great. All right. Any other discussion?
Wheel's still spinning.
Gonna time out. Any other questions on the strategic plan? Nope, you're great. No, great, okay. Discussion regarding the strategic plan committee. There's been discussion, it's very hard for as Trish just mentioned, it's a volunteer board, they don't meet. The whole thing was to get the strategic plan up and running and the dashboard up. And we have to look at, is this committee, is it feasible to keep this committee? Should we disband this committee? And we didn't want to make that decision without, Selectman Finley being here, because he's on the board. He and Trish are the ones really, really driving it. So we've been kind of tabling it and hoping when you're here to be able to have the discussion of what are your thoughts?
Isn't it nice to be
Well,
back?
yeah, I mean, I'll speak for Rick unless you want to
No.
go first. I think because they're starting to follow the process, if we were to keep the committee together, it would be just to govern that the process is still being followed, not to impact like we did to get the process started. You see you
Yep.
know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. I think
So I think if it's to ensure that we're following the right processes, to keep people up to speed of how the strategic plan can, stay relevant, I think that would be the purpose of the committee. Otherwise, I think what we did in the past to get it to where it is, we wouldn't have to do the same thing.
all right, I agree. The
Because
point-
they've embraced it.
The point was to eventually get this passed over to the town. I hate stepping down.
Well, maybe we don't mean nothing. Maybe
But-
you guys meet quarterly.
No, it's okay, because this was the intent, and when we put it together many years ago, the intent was to get it up and running and self-sufficient.
Yeah, it was.
And I think the Board of Selectmen's role now would be to make sure that it is continuing to move forward as a 10-year strategic plan and being reported back to us. I think I would like to have more than a yearly report, though. I don't know how everyone feels about that, if we're just passing it over to the town. I don't think,
Quarterly?
yeah, maybe a quarterly report.
Well, the intention is for me to give the report every quarter
Okay,
to you.
then that's, I think,
So it'll just keep rolling. So instead of just waiting for that one
I
big
think that
December
is-
The
update,
intention of what the committee was.
you guys will get it
I think it
right,
on a
serves
regular
its
basis.
purpose. So,
right.
I can do it as often as the 7 of you would like to see it.
No, I think that would be, is
So-
quarterly too much for everybody? If
No, I think
we're
quarterly is
stepping away
fine.
from
I think
committee?
it's fine.
Quarterly is fine, I believe. But what does the rest of the board think?
Sounds reasonable, yeah. I'll defer to the two members.
I would like what you found online, I would like to see something as a preface to these that we post online, these kinds of reports where it shows what the mission and, of the 10-year strategic plan is, just so people have a bit of a background. I think that's really important, rather than just opening up to a
Not the
table.
details.
Oh, absolutely.
An overview,
Yeah.
like not
Well-
to this level, right? It's just a.
Yes, 100%. When we get to the dashboard and everything that's online, yes, we'll add in all those.
Well, I was just gonna say to you, because when you go to that software, they give you a dashboard, right?
Yes, yep.
So I think in lieu of where you're saying, the dashboard, what he's talking about is really gonna, it would be a kind of where everybody would go to understand how we're doing against the strategic plan. Because I know the software you're talking about, and
Yeah.
I think that'll work pretty well.
But I can
But
add
for the average
historical
person,
perspective, though, if that's what you're looking for. You can add content in, and we can do that to provide some of that. Sure. It's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, because there's a point behind having it and how it's going to work. And I think that very high-level background for people before they dive into a dashboard is important.
It is, but I
for
think
context.
the amount of detail that's in that other one and where it becomes evergreen, if he's keeping up on it, or someone here is keeping up on it from the town, and the dashboard's just evergreen, it's gonna be a lot better process than what we had in the past in that document of trying to keep it whole and real time, you know?
Yeah,
Is Evergreen the
So-
color you were using?
okay.
No, I was not using Evergreen.
Do you want to use Evergreen color? He wants to know.
Yeah, on the things you have done.
We would like it legible. Color-wise, print
If you go to the
size-wise.
town of Woodbridge's webpage and look at their budget book, that's the same company. That's
Right.
what our budget book will be come July, and that's the same company that will do the strategic plan. So you'll be able to get an idea of how the software works, to Bob's point, of what you'll be able to see. So maybe if you guys take a look at that and then come back with, we'd like to see a little bit more of this or that, we can do that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what was the,
I think we all agree it should be passed to the town at this point. That was the overall intent when it was started, once it was on solid ground. Agreed, Bob?
Agreed.
so, can I have a?
I'll make a motion to pass the strategic planning to, I was going to say liquidate, what? We are making a motion to disband the strategic planning committee and move strategic planning reporting to the town of Seymour.
And
Motion by Trish,
I'll second it.
second by Bob, discussion,
We need to amend the agenda.
because it says discussion, it doesn't say action.
We need
So
Does
to-
the action?
We need to add action.
So we'll add it
We'll
to the,
do it next month then.
we'll do it
You
next
could do it
month.
now.
Just make a motion to
Make
add.
a motion to add to the
Make a
agenda,
motion
action
that
on
we amend.
strategic
Can I
plan.
have a
Amend.
motion to add to the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Al, discussion. Okay, go ahead, Trish.
Make a motion to disband the strategic planning committee and pass the strategic plan to the town of Seymour, for 10-year strategic plan to the town of Seymour.
Motion,
Second.
Trish, second by Bob, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Abstentions? Chair votes aye, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Appointments. In your packet, you'll see the appointments. We're gonna go to the beautiful, Seymour Beautification Commission first. Nancy Chuckett, Democrat, Seymour Beautification Commission. Not replacing anybody, as this is a new committee, not a new committee, we're just appointing people on this, the committee's already been there. It's an appointment, it's 2 years, it expires on 4/2027.
Make a motion.
Motion by Trish, second by Al, all in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Abstention? Chair votes aye, motion carries. Stuart Brannon, thank you, Independent, Seymour Beautification Commission. Not replacing anybody, it's appointment for 3 years, April 2028.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Trish, second by Al, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Rick Bender, Seymour Beautification Commission, not replacing anybody. It's an appointment for 1 year, ends in April of 2026.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Trish, second by Al, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Zachary Suko, Republican, Seymour Beautification Commission, appointment for 2 years, ends in April 2027.
So move.
Motion by
Second.
Trish, second by Al, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Jeff Barilla, Barilla, an appointment, 3 years, ends in 4/2028.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trish, second by Al, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Emily Bush, replanning and zoning, she's an alternate, she's replacing Shannon Bullard. Her letter of resignation's in our, packet. It's an appointment, it ends 12/1/2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trish, second by Al, discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Just
Aye.
so everybody knows, when we asked for the boards and the commission, all this information was given us by Jeff. We asked for the party's name, their address, and this is what they gave us, so that's what we have, okay? Tax refunds and abatements, there is no transfers. Tax refunds and abatements in your packet from Dana Flack.
Make a motion to approve as
Actually,
presented.
Second.
Motion by Trish, second by Al, all in favor?
Aye.
Noes, abstention, chair votes aye. Correspondence, you'll see the letter from Shannon resigning. Public comment.
I guess it was pretty good to see the spirit of senior life tonight. Ms. Danforth,
Name
I
and
just-
address for the record, please.
Deborah Alterio. I just heard your comment that there's nothing that you could do with what people do with their property. You're right. But for that project, going back the 30 and 40 years that it's been going through, it hasn't passed. And the reason why it hasn't passed is for grade number 1, for public safety number 2, and it didn't have 2 outlets. So yes, that land is locked on Prospect Street, but it acts as a buffer. It is just as valuable to the residents of the town of Seymour to keep their health and safety in check than it is to give it up to a developer. Because then you're putting them in danger, and it would be on you. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? I think you should talk about our own property, but any other comment? Any other public comment? No, no other public comment?
Understand.
No. Select persons, public comment, Pat.
I have nothing, Madam Chairman.
Okay, Bob,
And nothing for this evening.
Trish.
I just want to publicly thank Chris Edwards for the work that he did. That was a bit of a
I
surprise.
should have said that.
So that was unexpected to me, and he seemed a little stung tonight, and I just want to say I do appreciate all of the work that he has done through tonight. And that's it. And to mention, Chris and I haven't always agreed on things or seen eye to eye, but I do know that he is an upstanding individual, period. So the hard work that he has put in, I personally appreciate. So thank you, Chris.
Al?
I'd like to thank the UN Army folks for coming out tonight. It seems like a great program. I'd like to start working with people in Seymour. Mackenzie Browning for coming out with her plan. That was great to see young people taking it upon themselves to help the environment, pick up trash. And yeah, I'd also like to, a little surprised about Chris Edwards tonight. He's a good guy, put in a lot of effort, helped us through the flood. So I appreciated all his hard work. Thanks.
Fred.
I have nothing further to add this evening.
Okay, Teresa.
I do. I do have a request if we can get an updated road program of where we're at for roads. Like, I know we used to have like A, B, C, list of that. Do we still
On the
have some?
website, yep, on the website.
Thank you. And then I'd like to address the inappropriate attack that was made to me tonight. I have to say, I'm pretty much taken back by the comments of Chris Edwards, what he said to me. I sat on this board along with all of you when we charged our human resource director to go out to see what a fair stipend would be for our emergency management director, especially after all the work that he just went through. Our human resources director came back to us with a number between $5,000 and $15,000, and his recommendation was $10,000. We all sat up here and unanimously voted for that $10,000 stipend. However, I was going to budget hearings. The first budget hearing on a Monday, it was $10,000. On the Wednesday, when they're looking at it again, the chairman came in and he says, I think it should be $30,000. My point is, that was a slap in the face to all the work that we did up here, sitting as the governing body of this town. It has nothing to do with the person. It was the process and how it was done. And it should never be done like that. I am personally taken aback by someone in a leadership position in this town attacking me. I never used his name. It was about the position and the stipend that we voted for, all of us here. So when he was attacking me, everyone that was here, somebody might have been absent, he was attacking you because you voted for that $10,000 also. So I just want to say, I appreciated all the work Chris has done. I put that in my letter to the editor, that I know he did a great job. However, it was never about the person. It was about the process of how we came to that $30,000. We did it underneath the light for everyone to see how it was being done. You went out and you charged our human resource director to do his work. And then I sit here tonight just flabbergasted that someone can get up there and attack me the way that he did. So I'm hoping that my fellow selectmen feel the same way I do. I always thought Chris did a great job, but obviously he does not respect me. I did not do it for any political reasons. I did it because my board that I sit on did our due diligence, and we did it correctly. When it went to the Board of Finance, they chose to do something else. So I had a problem with that. I let that be known to both the Board of Finance and to a letter to the editor. But I don't think anyone should get that kind of lack of respect from a town employee. And that's how I'm going to just leave it. I'm sad to see that he's resigned. That was never my intention. My intention was the due process that we were going through for the budget process for his stipend. And that's all I'm going to have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have a couple of things. So last month, you remember Rosalie Averill, we had the Affordable Housing Committee come to us. She had showed us a piece of paper and said, did you guys see this? And we didn't, and that's because we have an Affordable Housing Committee. The Affordable Housing Committee is responsible for going to the planning and zoning, showing them what we need for affordable housing, working with the planning and zoning, working with the land use, and coming to this board as an in-between. So I'm giving you all the Seymour Housing Needs and Assessment overview, so you have it, as well as the Seymour Housing Needs and Assessment. And this is something that the Affordable Housing Committee, again, I'm going to say, needs to come to this board to present, because that is their mission and that is what they are charged to do. Okay, so you all have that. This was presented to the Planning and Zoning Board. The Planning and Zoning Board also has this, the Plan of Conservation and Development. And they are working, in the Affordable Housing Committee should also be working with the Planning and Zoning to ensure that we're following our Plan of Conservation and Development. And I found out, well, it's a rumor, I don't know if it's true, but I did find out that Baker Associates have the lots over on Skokorak, gave the property to the Conservation Commission. Apparently that was 80 lots. The houses there are approximately going to be 500 to 600K. We probably would have lost, it's in a loss of a revenue and taxes of $1.2 million. We found out because somebody came in and wanted to buy the property to build the houses. So that's when we found out the conservation, the land conservation was giving that property. So now Baker's no longer own the property that I'm aware of, right?
The land trust took the property.
Land trust. So it's no longer on our tax rolls either. So that's that. Budget is this Thursday from 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Code Red will be going out tomorrow. All voting is done at the Bungie, all voting is done at the community center for everybody. The voting is for those that own property in town, businesses, homeowners as well. Again, we'll do a Code Red. Did want to talk about, I hope I have it, yep, the car taxes and the philosophical change that is going through. I read an article written by Senator Rahman. He introduced 5 bills to eliminate car taxes over 5 years. The current one is that eliminating the car taxes. Currently in Connecticut, municipalities have the authority to levy property taxes on motor vehicles. These taxes are assessed based on the vehicle's value and can vary widely from town to town. The tax burden can vary significantly depending on the municipality, causing disparities between urban and rural areas. The bill proposed by Senator Rahman will allow towns to phase out the motor vehicle tax over a period of 5 years while increasing the assessment value on real property to make up the revenue difference. Towns would have the flexibility to implement changes at their own pace, but with some towns opting for a full 5 phase-out period, while others may move faster or slower depending on their local financial needs and conditions. Eliminating the car taxes, this is from Senator Rahman, eliminating the car taxes in Connecticut will address the regional disparities in how towns currently tax vehicles. This could lead to greater fairness across the state of tax burdens would be reduced by vehicle owners. Basically, simple math, your budget is 30 million, 20 million comes from real estate, 10 million comes from cars. If we're losing 2 million from cars, that 2 millions are going to be put on to the real estate. So it's that philosophical change of taking it from the motor vehicles and putting it onto the homeowners. So no matter if a town puts a flat budget across, there's still going to be an increase in your taxes because now the town has to make up that revenue from someplace else. So that is looking to be passed as well. So we're on that one, car taxes, road. Did that one. I received an email. So funny, we talked about the Chris Edwards letter. I received an email from Mary McNellis. Wasn't sure what she was talking about, but she had saw a letter in the paper regarding Teresa's report. Teresa's letter, and she was confused as well because there were some things not correct in it as well. So I want to read into the record Teresa's letter to the editor. And she's right. She didn't mention Chris's name in the letter. To the editor, as the Seymour Board of Finance crafts the town's next budget, transparency and fairness must guide our decisions. However, recent budget discussions raise serious concerns about inconsistent priorities and questionable spending. One example is proposed increase for the community service assistant salary. The community center department requested a reasonable 2.49 increase, yet the first select woman proposed a 7.19 increase. This substantial adjustment, while other departments just even small increase, raised concerns about equity and budgeting. Another issue is a stipend for emergency management director. The responsibilities of this volunteer position has increased. This prompted the Board of Select Persons to task the Human Resource Director with researching comparable stipends, which range from $5,000 to $15,000. Based on this, the HR Director recommended $10,000, a figure unanimously approved by the Board of Select Persons and initially accepted by the Board of Finance. However, at the next meeting after the budget review settled on the $10,000, the Board of Finance Chair arbitrarily suggested raising the stipend to $30,000, lacking full context from the Board of Select Persons research. Several members supported this increase. The first select woman through the present remained silent instead of clarifying the process. I spoke up against both arbitrary increases during public comment section of the meeting. Budget decisions must be consistent, transparent, and accountable. While I deeply appreciate the emergency management director's efforts during the August 18th storm, fair stipends ensure preparedness without unnecessary spending. This is why I was in full support of the $10,000 stipend. As a select person, I strongly oppose the inconsistent approach and urge residents to stay engaged in the budget process. Taxpayers' dollars should be allocated based on the needs and fairness, not on personal relationships or selective prioritization. The public deserves better. So I agree. Your attack was not on Christopher. You didn't mention his name. So then I went through the budget, as I explained it 3 times already. In the community service, go down to the associate director, and you will see the 7.9% increase for the associate director. Did it get cut off?
It's cut off on here.
It must be, because it's cut off. So the associate director went up 7.9, not the assistant, the associate director. So here's a letter from Mary McNellis that I also put into your packet. Well, the budget's online as well. I saw a letter to the editor at voicesnews.com from Teresa Conroy and just wanted to provide some clarification. The community center budget I submitted included a 2.49 increase for all 3 of my full-time staff members. This increase was based on estimated contractual agreements. It did not include the step increase or the additional payroll day in the fiscal year. Here's the breakdown. Salary, Associate Director, Parks and Recreation Manager, John Fracker, included an estimated contractual raise of 2.49. This number may change following negotiations. Step increase and additional payroll day were not included in my budget. I understand your budget did account for these. Salary, Elderly Service Director, Senior Service Coordinator, Morgan Manzer, includes a 2.49 increase based on estimated contractual agreements, subject to change following negotiations. Salary, regular employees, Community Service Assistant Tara Miller, include a 2.49 increase based on estimated contractual agreements and again is subject to change following negotiations. I believe the percentage increase for this position may be inaccurately quoted in the news article. Feel free to reach me in case you need it. So then I went to the Seymour Community Center and the flyer that they published, where it says, Mary McNellis is director, Tara Miller is a community service assistant, Margaret Menzer is the active adult coordinator, John Fracker is the park regulation. The 7.9 was for the assistant director, as I stated twice in a Board of Finance meeting and as I stated in the Board of Selectmen meeting. So then I said, I have to write the letter to editor because if I'm going to be quoted, I want to make sure that I am quoted correctly. I want to take a moment to respond to a letter to the editor dated April 2nd, 2025, written by Teresa Conroy. In her letter, she raises concern about inconsistent priorities with questionable spendings, and that we should be allocating funds based on the needs and fairness, not personal relationships or selective prioritization. As many of you know, I've always prided myself on being open and transparent, answering as many resident questions as possible. Since I've already answered these questions publicly at a Board of Select Persons meeting, correcting Ms. Conroy intentional misrepresentations of the budget number, I am happy to answer these questions again in this format. The simple answer is the first point raised by the community service assistant that Ms. Conroy is still intentionally misstating facts for some reason. The salary she is referring to is the associate director, not the community service assistant. The reason for the difference in the number is the department head lists the position with a general 2.49 increase. She did this because she knew the employees union group was in active contract negotiations. She did the same thing for each staff member in the same bargaining unit. This employee was also entitled to a step increase based on the years of service, which the department head did not show. My budget recommendations consider the newly negotiated employee pay rate and step increase. That is why there was a difference. The second point Ms. Conroy raised was regarding the stipends for the emergency management director. She states that during the meeting when the increase was proposed, I remained silent and did not do anything to clarify the process of how the number was arrived at. This is true. I did stay silent. I just found out tonight that Chris spoke to Rich. I stayed silent because I very much appreciate the work done by our emergency management director and all of our first responders. Quite honestly, I do not think they are paid enough for what they do, and I wish we could pay them more. The funny thing is the Board of Finance voted to pay more to a stipend our fire chiefs at that meeting. Why is Ms. Conroy not questioning that in her letter? Ms. Conroy failed to be transparent and did not mention in her letter that in my budget I suggested the Board of Education receive a 3.0 increase, yet the Board of Finance changed the increase to a 5.9 increase. So I ask, why is Ms. Conroy not questioning this decision by the Board of Finance? So where is Ms. Conroy's consistency and transparency? Why is she cherry picking specific issues? What Ms. Conroy is hoping is that you will not notice her personal agenda. What she is hoping that you will not see is her consistently attacking certain employees. Seymour's budget process is very consistent, transparent, and has a great deal of accountability. The process allows for many layers of recommendations, discussion, and debate. The Board of Finance has the final say in the budget before the residents. If they feel strongly, they should be able to make the changes as the charter clearly states. This is the process the town has used successfully for many years. I felt your letter did attack certain people because you didn't call out all the things in there. If you're going to call out the inconsistencies, all the inconsistencies should have been called out. That's how I feel. I understand you feel that you were attacked by Chris, and I get it, right? But that, when you just point out those two things and you don't point out the other things, that's why I feel there was attack. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. And I'm not accepting his resignation. I'll talk to him tomorrow.